Welcome to the Explainer. So, today we are unlocking something absolutely powerful. A lot of the time we kind of just think of psychology as something totally reserved for academics or therapists or, people reading those massive, complicated books on neurolinguistic programming. But the real truth? Psychology is essentially an everyday toolkit. It's this invisible current running through literally every interaction we have, every single choice we make, and every morning we wake up.
Okay, let's dive right into this. So, what if I told you that you really don't need a PhD to get exactly what you want out of your day? Our core premise today is super simple. We're going to transform 19 distinct, highly effective psychological tricks straight from our source material into actionable daily habits. These are simple, everyday methods that absolutely anyone can use to navigate life just a little bit easier.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll be covering 1. Getting what you want. 2. Diffusing tension. 3. Hacking your own brain. And finally, 4. Leaving a lasting impression.
Section 1. Getting what you want, or mastering the art of subtle persuasion.
Notice the sheer power of word choice here. Instead of doing this, asking, could you call the neighbors, do this. Just say, please call the neighbors. Now you might be wondering, why? Well, when you start a request with the words, could you, it actually causes the other person to subconsciously assume that it's a theoretical question. So a yes to a could you just means yes, I theoretically have the ability to do that, not yes, I actually agree to do it. It sounds polite, sure, but replacing it with a direct please ensures your requests are actually fulfilled.
Let's apply this to the workplace, shall we? I mean, we've all dealt with a lazy coworker who just bogs down the whole process. If you hand them a massive task and just say, do this, they're going to shut down, no way around it. Instead, try psychological chunking. Step 1, tell them, start with this. Psychologically, this makes the workload seem significantly smaller. Then, step 2, once they finish that little piece, say, very good, now continue with this. You're basically guiding them right to the finish line without triggering all that resistance. All right, let's rapid fire through a few more of these everyday persuasion hacks. First off, if you want an affirmative answer, subtly nod your head while making the request. Restaurant employees actually use this all the time to get guests to buy more food. Second, if you're in negotiations, say you want a better salary or a lower price, act slightly disappointed with their first offer. It works like magic, honestly. Third, if someone is deeply concentrated on a phone call, you can just extend your hand and take whatever they're holding. Or vice versa, you can just hand them something to hold. They won't even notice. It's brilliant for when you're moving or cleaning up. And finally, if you want to build a connection with someone, ask them for a small, kind of unusual favor first, or even casually doubt their ability to do something. People just love proving others wrong, and once that connection is established, they won't have the heart to turn you down later. Let's move to section 2, diffusing tension, navigating social frictions smoothly. So here's your rapid-fire toolkit for stopping arguments and drama completely dead in their tracks. If someone tries to pull you into their drama, just say something nice to them. Seriously, the old kill 'em with kindness trick literally stops people right in their tracks. Alternatively, you can just remain completely silent, because there is honestly nothing more irritating to an instigator than being completely ignored. And of course, if it's a partner or a close friend, consciously put yourself in their shoes, just to see if you're missing a valid point in their objection. Now, the absolutely crucial point when friction does happen is often how we actually frame blame. Take a look at this comparison. Instead of the accusing sentence, you didn't close the window, try using the passive voice, the window was left open all night. This brilliantly illustrates how you can correct behavior without making the other person feel attacked. They still learn from the mistake, but you don't come off as the bad guy aggressively pointing the finger. But what if the friction is just, plain awkwardness? Say you're on a crowded subway and someone is just staring at you. It happens all too often, right? Well, don't look away. Instead, look directly at their shoes. Just keep gazing. It'll drive them absolutely crazy. On the flip side, if you actually want to make someone feel a bit uncomfortable in a conversation, look directly at the middle of their forehead. It makes people feel like they're under intense scrutiny. And hey, if you ever suspect someone is avoiding a question or maybe even lying to you, try this little equation. Silence plus eye contact. Just pause and keep looking at them. We'll see how uncomfortable that brief silence was. In a real conversation, that tension makes people keep talking just to fill the void.
They'll often over-explain, give you the exact details you want, or even confess the truth simply because they'll assume your silent gaze means you already know the real facts.
Moving right along to Section 3, Hacking Your Own Brain, Self-Mastery and Internal Mind Hacks. We all know getting out of bed is a universal struggle, but here is a trick that sounds completely bizarre yet is highly refreshing. The absolute second your alarm goes off, sit up, make 2 fists, and cheer, yes, exactly as if you're a soccer player who just scored the winning goal. I know it sounds wild, but injecting that sudden, victorious physical energy genuinely tricks your brain into waking up and feeling refreshed. You just have to try it. And how about everyday anxiety? We've all felt that sudden panic on the commute. Wait, did I turn the iron off? Did I lock the front door? The hack here is to say an absolutely absurd phrase out loud while you're actually doing the action. So, when you lock the door, say oppressive crab. When you turn off the iron, say green rabbit. Make it something different every day. That way, later on, when the doubt creeps in, your brain won't have to search for some blurry routine memory of locking a door. It'll vividly remember you shouting green rabbit, which creates a highly specific memory to instantly calm your doubts.
Now, if your anxiety stems more from public speaking, here is a really practical approach. Always bring a water bottle. Nerves will naturally make your mouth feel like the Sahara Desert, for sure. But more importantly, taking a sip creates a perfectly natural pause if you happen to forget a part of your speech. The audience will never know. And hey, if you're truly terrified, just admit your anxiety to the crowd right away. It instantly lightens the mood, calms your nerves, and generates massive sympathy because, let's be real, almost everyone in that room can relate to that exact fear. And this actually brings us to one of the most wild statistics from our source material. 100%. That is exactly how effective this next trick is, provided you do it with meaning. If you have a terrible night of sleep, just tell yourself that you slept great. I know. It sounds like total nonsense, but it works 100% of the time if you genuinely believe it. And you definitely don't have to take my word for it. Scientists from Colorado College actually published a study in the Journal of Experimental Psychology proving exactly this. If you genuinely believe you're well-rested, even if you are absolutely exhausted, your brain functions better. It's literally a placebo effect for sleep, tapping directly into your brain's processing power. Incredible, right? Finally, Section 4, Leaving a Lasting Impression, Making Your Memory Stick. Let's take a moment to consider how the daily memory curve actually works. People are significantly better at remembering what happens at the very beginning of the day and at the very end of the day. Anything that goes on in between, right around that 1 o'clock post-lunch slump, gets incredibly blurry in the human brain. So connecting this timeline directly to a high-stakes scenario, think about job interviews. If you have the option to schedule your interview, never pick the middle of the day. You want to leverage that memory curve to really stand out among a sea of candidates. Try to agree to a time that's either right at the start of the workday or at the very end of it. By doing this, the employer's brain is naturally wired to recall you much more clearly than all the people they interviewed at noon. It's a real game changer. Wow, we have covered a lot of ground today. From neutralizing drama with passive voice, to cheering like a soccer champion at 6 a.m., to hacking the memory curve for your next big career move. Psychology isn't just theory, guys, it's practice. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. Which of these everyday psychological tricks are you going to use to hack your day tomorrow? Pick just one, test it out, and watch what happens. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.